We passed our 500th episode not so long ago. We didn't really do anything for it. And I just looked into the writer's strike, and that doesn't seem to be making much headway. In fact, a lot of programmers and producers are cutting shows right now.
Right.
The most recent that I saw was Amazon. They cut 2 of their shows. The Peripheral. That's been canceled.
Wait, canceled? So it's not coming back for a second season?
When I say cut, I mean they're gone.
Oh, wow.
A League of Their Own Season 2 had been renewed. Canceled.
I remember that, yeah.
Warrior Nun resurrected for 3 movies. So their fans came out. They were like, Netflix, please.
Warrior Nun, yeah, I was going to say Warrior Nun is Netflix, right?
Yeah, it had already ended. Ton of other ones that we've done have been canceled too. The Sunset on Big Sky, The Company You Keep, True Lies, East New York, Young Rock, The Winchesters, Dear Edward, which felt like it only meant like to go 1 season, so I don't know how much of a cancellation that is.
Not to mention a lot of shows have been pushed back. We talked about The Boys. I remember in one of the podcasts. Also, you had what was the Adam
Invincible.
Scott? Invincible as well. What was the Adam Scott show? Severance.
Yes.
That one was pushed back for season 2. Yeah.
Well, I have a list here of the cancellations. I just want to run through real quick. So High Desert, Mosquito Coast Season 2, after Season 2.
Wow, Mosquito Coast Season 2 hadn't even come out yet? Because the first season came out in like 2020.
It did. I think it got 2 seasons and now it's been canceled.
Okay.
Physical ended Season 3. The Mysterious Benedict Society. Willow, Avenue 5. I was sad about that one, actually, even though Avenue 5 was never a great comedy.
But you did watch it. Like, you watched all 3 seasons.
Because of Hugh Laurie. He's pretty cool. And then also Gabe from The Office, right? Reboot, the Keegan-Michael Key
Hulu show, yeah.
Yes, which was poking fun of it at Hulu itself. Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies. One of Us is Lying, Vampire Academy, Let the Right One In, American Gigolo, and Gossip Girl.
How is One of Us is Lying still even... I thought that was a limited series.
Well, once I started going into it, I don't know how far back these cancellations happened, but I'm pretty sure that most of them were in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, while we go through these shows, it's sad to see, especially the new ones, die.
Yeah.
Anyways, so getting to this show, what's it called?
Harlan Coben Shelter.
Harlan Coben Shelter. I think it's based off a book series because that's what it kept on recommending.
Oh, it definitely
every time that I would click onto Amazon. It's a teen mystery drama on Amazon Prime. The first 3 episodes came out August 18th. Each are an hour long. The wiki summary is this. After his father's sudden death, Mickey Bolitar starts a new life in Castleton, New Jersey, where he becomes entangled in the mysterious disappearance of Ashley Kent, a student at his school, leading him to discover a dark underworld in the quiet suburban community.
Is this the live-action remake of Monster House?
No, but there is a monster house. There is nothing really quiet about this suburban community, despite what the Wikipedia summary just said. There's that monster house, there's evil tattoos, there's missing kids, there's immortal villains, there's underground tunnels, mysterious, possibly evil Holocaust survivors.
What?
It's a very strange, we're going to throw everything into this story possible type of teen drama. And so, like, Mickey Bolitar is the main character, but at the same time, we follow a lot of other storylines. But just starting with he's a 16-year-old basketball player. We see in the first scene, his parents get into this crazy car accident. His dad is supposedly dead, but not really. His mom ends up surviving, but then going into a clinic for depression.
Wait, his mom survives? Because I saw the beginning scene of this, and it looked like that mom that was was she in the backseat or something?
Yeah.
Did she look like she was dead?
Well, she used to be a tennis prodigy, but apparently after the accident, she reverted back into her depression. She went to go live in a clinic, and he went to go live with his aunt, the sister of the dad who died.
Right.
And now he's living with her in Castleton, and he used to be a basketball prodigy too, so he was going to go up the ranks and probably get drafted, but now he's bummed. He's bummed that his parents are all either dead or sick, and so he's starting school here. He's making new friends, and he's sort of just trying to get his life under order. And that's
where... Can we talk really fast? Because you said that the dad is supposed to be dead, but I assume he comes back from the way that you were saying. Is that a lot like Outer Banks Season 2?
Yeah, so one of the shows I was going to compare it to is Outer Banks. And then also the dad, I actually recognize the person who played him.
Oh.
He's from Life Unexpected. He played the dad in that. He's also the Wonder Woman love interest, not Chris Pine, the one Chris Pine takes over for.
Oh, the body that he uses.
Yes, the body he uses. He's also shown up in True Calling and Get Shorty. So yeah, I was familiar with his face. And then when he supposedly died in that first scene, I was like, damn it. Well, it was so corny. The beginning of the show starts off unbelievably exposition-y, corny, and then you see the accident happen and you're like, I can't tell what tone we're going for here. It's unintentionally funny in that way. And then they start rattling off all these F-bombs, and I'm like, this really confuses me. Is this a kid show or not? Because the main villain for the first 2 episodes is this bat lady, and it's so immature for seeing a 16-year-old kid run around town freaking out and then continually calling the villain Bat Lady and then having people say fuck all the time. It just doesn't flow together.
That's exactly why I asked if this was a live action remake of Monster House, because the poster looks a lot like a kid show. You have 3 kids, they're in front of a scary house, they have all of their gadgetry. Yeah, no, but they have all their gadgetry, and it looks like this is supposed to be a family show.
And if you saw the first scene, you also saw the backlash they did to 1997 or so, where the dad's character was in a bunker and hiding from the police. And it seemed like at the beginning of the show, you were going to be following 2 different timelines. And then 3 episodes in, you really don't get a sense of that other timeline. I'm sure we're going to get backlash episodes or something, but it felt like it was going to be a split series, and that's not what's happened. It's confusing. That would be my biggest con, is that it doesn't feel like the editing's there's a lack of focus. I don't know who the good guys are, the bad guys are, and it feels like by now I should.
Wait, you don't know who the good guys are?
Yes, because it's revealed at the end of the 3rd episode that Bat Lady might not be completely evil.
Oh, they go that route with it. Okay.
And there's so much going on that it feels unimportant. After the 1st episode, I get the sense that there was a story there, but they needed to hone in on it. And instead, they expanded and asked more questions and more questions. And so in that 1st episode, Mickey is attending school, and there's this, you think of him as Harry Potter. He's the chosen one.
Right.
He's the main character. And then you have Ron, who is Arthur Spindle in this show, Spoon. He's a nerdy, over-friendly tech guy. And he immediately meets up with Mickey and is like, I'm going to be your best friend. Here's a hug. I'm sorry about your parents. He's probably the funniest character, but he is the comic relief.
Well, aside from Metal Lords, a Netflix film starring Jaden Martell from from the It movies and Barry, he hasn't been in much. Adrian Greensmith, Arthur Spindle. This is his 2nd TV series ever.
Yeah, and he went all in with his character. He was he's trying to be as goofballish as he can be, and he's succeeding at it. Hermione's character is her name is Emma, and she's a goth lesbian girl who's just an outcast and doesn't necessarily want friends, but she's kind of forced into them. Mm-hmm. And between the 3 of them, they're going along trying to solve this mystery, because Mickey appears at school the first day, and he's not the only one who's the new kid. There's also this new kid named Ashley, and they make love eyes towards each other when they first meet, and then they spend 30 minutes with each other, and then she asks him out on a date, and he meets up at the place they're supposed to meet at, and then she ghosts him. And he immediately knows that everything has gone wrong and that he needs to find her.
So let me understand.
For the rest of the 3 episodes, despite the fact that the Bat Lady person told him that his dad was still alive and he thinks that she might have a point and that he should look into that. Instead, he focuses all his attention on trying to find this Ashley girl, because the next thing he knows, the place where her parents were supposed to live at don't know who she is. The school pretends not to know who she is. Barely any of the other classmates act like they know who she was. It's just such a strange thing. And then at the end of the 3rd episode, we see she's stuck somewhere, and that she's been following him all his life.
Wait. How old is Ashley?
Okay, so his family moved from, I think, Europe. Right?
Yeah.
And there was a backlash scene where he was talking to his dad about how his dad was protecting his family against the worst threats. And then we see in the forest, she's looking at them. And then someone grabs her by to cover her mouth and pulls her into the forest. There's also supernatural stuff going on, tattoos that are very significant, the butterfly tattoo that just appears on people. There's a strange voodoo tattoo artist that's roaming around. And then the main, I guess I do know the villain is this Nazi guy who's still alive after 100 years. And he has a tattoo on his face, I think, of an octopus. And he's chasing around cheerleaders in high school.
I can understand why. It seems like this is trying to, instead of just focus on Mickey Bolitar, the main character, it seems like it's trying to almost develop a full town, kind of like in From. So I can understand when you say that there are so many different characters, but can you give it credit for having so many different characters?
Maybe if you want to. I found it more funny. Again, the unintentional humor. So remember, he lives at his Aunt Shira's house, right?
Yeah.
And the town, everybody knows about this monster house.
Uh-huh.
Yet they're unwilling to really talk about the Bat Lady or anything. But Aunt Shira, she's got her own skeletons in her closet. Apparently, she left town to go to college, and her boyfriend in college her boyfriend in high school became the sheriff of the town, but also started dating her best friend, and they got married, and they had a son, and their son's name is Troy, and Troy is the bully of the school. Point is, you're led to believe in the first 2 episodes that the sheriff still has feelings for Shira, and he does because he's like Facebook stalking her, and so you're like, is she going to cheat on him? It's kind of like the Ulrich character from Dark.
Yes, right.
Whether or not Jonas's mom and Ulrich were going to hook up again. But no, what ends up happening is in the 3rd episode, Shira's parents show up to celebrate their 49th anniversary, their wedding anniversary, and that's when Troy's family also shows up. And there's this moment where the 2 best friends, the ones who kind of like broke apart when they started dating the same dude, right? They mend things, and then at the very end, Shira's like making food, and the best friend walks in. She's still married to Troy's dad, the sheriff, and they start making out.
Wait, what? Okay, so let me explain something here.
Yeah.
Shira, completely made up.
Yeah.
Not in the book series at all.
Okay, I believe it.
But like, so it just is funny that the person that they decided to make up, they tried to throw so much melodrama, it seems like, into, just because it seems like they didn't know what to do with the character.
I think they're dealing with so many high school cliches, they wanted to do just endless twists.
That just sounds like Gossip Girl,
because
though.
you have bullies are jocks again.
Yes.
So remember there was like that gap in the aughts in the in the 2010s where there were no longer like bullies wearing Letterman jackets. They would
straight up bullies. There was usually some type of
they got a little depth. But no, we've reverted back to the old, like, whenever you see a bully, it's always someone who's wearing a Letterman jacket. Also, lockers are back. So even though, like, by the time I was going to high school, they were already phasing those out, I guess they're back to stay. I don't know when the book was made.
Yeah, so
maybe...
let me talk about Harlan Coben for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
The title of this confused me. It reminded me a lot of when I was confused as Aquafina is Nora from Queens, as Aquafina is also in the title. This has to be Harlan Coben's Shelter.
Yeah, it's like Tom Clancy's blah, blah, blah.
Yes, because he wrote a book in 2011 called Shelter. But he's a renowned author, and I actually didn't know anything about him. He has 35 books written in 46 different languages, but he, I feel like, is the Tyler Sheridan of authors.
Taylor
Sheridan, thank you. Because in 2018, he made a 5-year deal with Netflix, where Netflix decided that they were going to make 14 of his novels as either series or films, and he would be an executive producer for all of them. In October 2022, due to how well the adaptations were doing, they decided to re-up the deal. Yeah, and that was 4 years. But Myron Bolitar, that's his biggest series. He's ran...
Do you mean Mickey?
No, I mean Myron Bolitar.
Okay.
So, there's a character...
Oh, yeah. His uncle, right?
Actually, I think, his uncle. Do they mention him in the show?
That's Aunt Shira's ex-husband.
Yes. So a big reason why they decided to make Shira is because Myron Bolitar is underneath Netflix's banner. In fact, they're even making a TV show with him. And due to rights and due to everything going on, the only book adaptation that was on the market after the deal was made was this one, Shelter, which again he wrote in 2011, and Amazon Prime decided to pick it up. But in the books, Mickey Bolitar, he actually goes to live with his uncle, but because of the rights that Netflix has for Myron Bolitar, they decided to make Shira up. That is a whole entire reason as to why this thing is going on. And
that's
so
very interesting,
there's 2 different streamers making this thing, and it's like people are wondering if there's ever going to be like a way to do crossovers, because in Harlan Coben's books, multiple characters from other books make crossovers, but with the 2 streamers kind of competing, they're saying that that's not really going to, it doesn't seem like it's going to be able to be possible.
Yeah, I mean, so Mickey's not made up though, right?
Mickey's not made up. He actually is the nephew of Myron Bolitar.
Okay, I guess that's all right. Yeah, it doesn't affect the story too much. In fact, you don't really need to have an uncle or an aunt. They do the thing where the high schoolers act like adults, where they don't ever show up to class. They're never shown doing homework. They really make the rules for themselves. There's no repercussions for anything. He does get arrested a few times by the really annoying cop who, again, still has feelings for Shira.
Right.
But with that exception, like, again, they just choose whether or not they want to go to class. Kids are literally walking out of class and being told, wait, you have to stay back. And then, like, we never see them get detention or anything.
I know that Harlan Coben, he's big on reading, so he might just be like, because you were saying yourself, we're kind of reverting back to the stereotypes that were reminiscent of the 1990s He's been working as a writer ever since he was 26, and says read whatever you can. And I'm sure a lot of books that he was reading at that time kind of influenced him to make this.
Yeah, well, they did try to make it up to date because, for instance, instead of Instagram, they've invented a new social platform called UDU, which is supposed to be more authentic than Instagram.
UDU.
Because it's like the high school version of like, if you don't put out yourself truly, like how things actually look, if you use a filter or something, people will call you out on it. And so one of the people, like the star of UDU, our main character girl, Emma, she has a crush on that person.
And do you know where Emma's from? Because she's been in a lot of things that you've seen, but she's in 1 or 2 episodes of all of them.
Yeah, I don't know where she's from, but she looks a little bit like the character from Fred Armisen's show, the Hispanic one. Not this fool, but
Los Spookies.
Los Spooky. She looks very similar to one of the characters from that.
That is not one of the shows I thought you were going to say. I don't think it's her.
It's not.
She's been in Homeland, Rectify, but I think that you would maybe know her as season 2. She played the character Chance in Castle Rock for 6 episodes. No? Okay. You also have people like Sage Linder as Rachel Caldwell.
Yeah, Rachel is... So this show is just crazy. Ashley, remember, disappeared. She was going to try out for cheerleading. Rachel dates Troy, the bully, but is also the cheerleading captain. And she's also got like kind of an understanding of the monster house or something, because she shows up, breaks into Ashley's locker when Ashley disappears, takes, I guess, a gun and her money, and she's also being chased by the Nazi with the octopus on his face, and I think
Who's the Nazi going after most? Is it her?
Okay, well, the Nazi you only learn about is a Nazi until the very end, because in the first episode, the history teacher, the European history teacher, I think her name is Mrs. Friedman. She's very old. She also taught Mickey's dad when he was in school. And she's talking about Anne Frank, and there are Anne Frank posters all over her classroom. It's like the only thing she teaches. And then she says, well, there's no actual evidence that Anne Frank died. We have pretty clear evidence that Anne Frank died. Like, it's pretty concrete. So that was a little annoying to hear that. And then she mentioned that there was another lady who I didn't even write down, but this one had escaped and actually led a rebellion of like 40 kids who were able to escape. And then it's revealed that Bat Lady is that kid. And that even though we see Bat Lady in the first episode kill some bald guy who worked at the school and then replace him with another bald guy who has
just like the janitor?
glasses.
Is the bald guy like a janitor?
No, the janitor is actually the dad of Arthur Spindle.
Oh, okay.
He makes a big point. That's how they get the boiler room, and they're able to like hack into the security cameras at the school, which every place in the school is being looked at. Point is, the person who killed her father is the same guy who apparently killed, or looked like he killed Mickey's dad. the EMT guy with the scar on his face. Yeah, so it's a whole mess right now, and we don't exactly know who to believe. A lot of goofy characters. There's a few times where the editing really does make an issue, like when Mickey and Arthur give each other a look and then go running towards Ashley's supposed house. And the cops are there, and they immediately get themselves arrested because they just start screaming instead of just acting normal. And there's not enough information telling us like exactly what they're doing. It just happens so quickly that it feels like there's an editing problem there. Overall, I'm probably going to say the story deserves a 5 because it's just so cluttered. And I haven't even touched upon everything that's going on.
I mean, the series is going to be 8 episodes, but it just seems like every episode you're sitting through, stuff is just kind of thrown at the screen, like the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and at first I was going to say the main character isn't that special. Stuff just happens to him, and he happens to be very talented at basketball and going for the basketball team there, just like Arthur wants to try out for Phantom of the Opera to get with the new teacher, the one who wasn't shot in the head.
Okay.
There was that scene that you get where like 2 people are about to be caught where they're not supposed to be outside the monster house, and so that's when Emma and Arthur just start making out, and that's like the last time I've seen that excuse used for the bad guy to be like, oh, I guess they're just a couple teen, was like Citadel. So they did that in Citadel.
So Emma and Arthur are so that's what you mean by Ron and Hermione, because I know that you were saying.
But again, she's lesbian.
Oh, what? Okay,
I told you that. Yeah.
Because I thought that I knew that you were saying.
Or
Mickey,
Maya, at least. Yeah.
I knew you were saying Mickey and Ashley had their own thing, and Mickey
Which
has
didn't
been
make any sense because they knew each other for such a short time.
But I was wondering if Mickey was possibly supposed to end up with Emma, like maybe later on in the series.
No,
or something like
I don't think they're setting up for that. They do show show you a gravestone that's outside of the monster house, and then the monster house has a hidden tunnel underneath it. That's where finally Mickey tracks down the bald guy who who shot the other bald guy, and also Bat Lady, and that's where a lot of the revelations happen at the end of the third episode, and that's why the third episode is called The Dirt Locker. Yeah, and then there's a whole thing where he tries to get his mom back and bring her out of not rehab, but like where she was getting better for her depression. And they release her. He kind of forces them to release her by just constantly asking Shira if he can see her, which it's been 4 months. I understand why he would want to, but I also don't understand why they wouldn't try visitation first. They just automatically hand her the keys and say, all right, take care of your kid. And within that first day, she's already like gone to like a waterfall and was like about to jump or something. So that ended quickly. It just feels like there's too many characters, too much stuff going on. I don't understand the tone they're going for because Bat Lady, F-bombs, and overall, yeah, it's a 5 out of 10.
So you can't say a genre that is, like a specific genre?
We've been introduced to the supernatural part of it now, so it's a supernatural mystery teen drama.
Collider said that the strongest thing about the series was was the characters. But it has a 6.2 on IMDb and an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. And Variety said, while Ashley's disappearance and the old woman's connection to Mickey remains intriguing, the small revelations within the season are too mundane. So that ties into like kind of the twist that you kept on talking about. It seems like the show continually wants to have.
There isn't a problem with the characters. You're right on that, but they need to limit it down to which characters you really want to talk about. You know, if it is Mickey's show, then just keep it on him.
I thought that from everything I was reading was what the show wanted to do. Like Myron Bolitar did work, and he even wrote the finale with his daughter Charlotte Coben, who I think wrote some other episodes as well. So it seems like he is involved in the process.
Sometimes it's hard to translate a book into a show because usually you criticize that they've simplified it too much. I think they needed to simplify it a little bit more.
There's 3 books in the series. Shelter is the first one, and then some others were released later. But The Guardian gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It seems like it's gotten positive reviews, but it also seems like all the reviews say that there's some negative towards it. So.
Yeah. Well, when I say 5 out of 10, that just means borderline average to me because I grade on that scale of like 10 being the best ever, 1 being the worst, and 5 being super duper average. But I'm not going to go back to it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.